I'm Sharon Macklis at IDG Communications, here with episode 54 of Do More with R, Add Text Labels to Your ggplot graphs. Labeling all or some of your data with text can be helpful in telling your story, even when your graph is using other cues like color and size. ggplot has built-in ways of doing this, and the ggRepel package adds some functionality to those ways. Let's take a look at how those work. For this demo, I'll start with a scatter plot looking at known COVID-19 cases per capita in Massachusetts counties. Here, I'm interested in whether percent of population with at least a 4-year college degree has any relationship to the virus infection rate. My theory is that college education may mean you're more likely to have a job that lets you work safely from home, although of course there are lots of exceptions, like doctors. If you want to follow along, you can get the code to recreate this data at the Associated InfoWorld article. In this code, I'll load 3 libraries I'll need: ggplot, ggRepel, and dplyr. I'm also setting SciPen to 999 so I don't get scientific notation in my graphs. Okay, let's look at the data. I've got 7 variables. The ones I'm interested in are place, adult population, percent bachelor's degree, known rate of COVID infections per 100,000 people, and region in the state. You can see them here on the right pane. This next group of code starting on line 8 creates a ggplot scatter plot with that data. In the first line of code, percent bachelor's degree is the x-axis, and known rate of COVID per 100,000 people is the y-axis. I'm sizing my points by total county population and coloring them by region. geom_point creates the scatter plot, geom_smooth adds a linear regression line, and then I do some tweaking for the ggplot design defaults. The graph is stored in a variable called ma_graph. So let's see what that looks like. And you can see it here in the bottom right panel. To see which counties are what points, I can add text labels. Here's what the default geom_text function produces. Again, check the bottom right panel here. geom_text uses the same color and size aesthetics as the graph by default, but sizing the text makes the small points labels really hard to read. I can stop that behavior by setting size to null. Now you can see some of the smaller points labels are easier to read. But it's still hard to read the labels with them right over the points, so I can nudge them a bit higher with the nudge_y argument. Here, if you could see line 8 here. It looks like some of the text is cut off, but that's partly the display panel size. So we can look at this zoomed. You can see that's a bit better. There's another built-in ggplot labeling function called geom_label, which adds a box around each text label. Let's see what that looks like. And you can see them here. So that's all fine when your points are well spaced out. But what if they're not? I added a fake data point close to Middlesex County so you can see what I mean. Let me create the same graph with the new fake data, which I'm doing in this first code block. And let's look at Mass Graph 2. If you could see here on the right middle of the graph, there are 2 points pretty close together. Let's add labels now. If you look at the bottom right panel here in my RStudio and the mid-right of the graph, you can see that by default, the Middlesex and fake labels are now on top of each other, so you can't really read the underlying label very easily. ggRepel has its own versions of these text and label geom functions, geom_text_repel and geom_label_repel. Here's the default text repel. And if we look at this, ggRepel automatically moved the fake label below its point so the text isn't overlapping anymore. Now let's look at what Geom label repel looks like. I set color to null to make it a bit easier to see the label text. I can use the same nudge_y arguments to create more space between the labels and their points. Let me run that code. You can see that ggRepel even added little line pointers between the labels and the points when I created space between them. I can also label only some of the points, not all of them, if I want viewers to focus on just a few of them. One way is by subsetting the data within the geom label repel function. As you can see in this last group of code, my data here is subsetting my fake data, so only the Metro Boston region is being used. And now you can see only these points are being labeled, the rest aren't. There's a lot of customization you can do with ggRepel. For example, you can set the size and color of those pointer lines. Segment.size sets the line width, and segment.color sets the line color. Direction says whether overlapping text should be shifted along the x-axis, that is horizontally, y-axis, vertically, or both. And you can see I've now got these thin gray lines. You can even turn those lines into arrows with the arrow argument, as in the second code block here, where you see arrow equals and then an arrow function. One more point I'd like to make about ggRepel. You can also use it to label lines if you have a multi-series line graph. I loaded another data frame, MyDF, with quarterly unemployment data for 4 US states. You can see it's got 3 columns: rate, state, and quarter. I'll make a ggplot graph and save it to the variable graph2 and take a look at what that looks like. Just a simple 4-line series. I find it a little hard here to see which line goes with what state. You have to keep looking back and forth between the lines and the legend. So I'd like to add a text label for each line. And I'd like it to point to just before the end of each line and not at the end of each line, and I'll show you why in a moment. But to do that, I'm going to point my labels to the second to last quarter and not the last quarter on my x-axis. And I'm going to calculate those with this line of code here on line 10. And you can see that would be April 1st, 2020. Now I'll add geom label repel just for the data in the second to last quarter. That's the filtered data in my first argument here for geom label repel. Next, I'm telling geom label repel to use the state column as the label, to nudge the data 0.75 horizontally, and to remove all the other data points. And then finally here at the bottom, I'm getting rid of the graph's default legend since I won't need it anymore. And now I have my labels for each line, and it's a little easier to see which is which. So why not label the last quarter? I tried that first, and the pointer lines looked like part of the graph. I'll show you that. This is what I don't want. You see these pointer lines look like everything is looks like part of the lines. Definitely don't want that. If you want to find out more about ggRepel, check out the ggRepel vignette. You can do that with this command here, vignette, ggRepel the package, and ggRepel the topic. And there's a rather handy guide here, if you could see the bottom right panel. So that's it for this episode. Thanks for watching. For more R tips, head to the Do More with R page at bit.ly/domorewithR, all lowercase except for the R. You can also find the Do More with R playlist on YouTube's IDG Tech Talk channel, where you can subscribe so you'll never miss an episode. Hope to see you next time. Stay healthy and safe, everyone.